Hi everyone, it's Angela from the Tiny Healer channel, where I talk about mental health, self-development and lifestyle. It is currently winter here in Australia, and I wanted to talk about how to take care of yourself when you're sick. Tip number 1 is rest as much as you can. I know this goes without saying, but if you're like me and you struggle to sit in one place for prolonged periods, then it is really important that you give your body rest in order to recover. I know it can be really easy to put pressure on yourself to be productive in this day and age, but I do think it is really important that you give yourself time to sleep and have a break from your everyday routine if you can, just so your body has enough time to recuperate and gain its strength back. Tip number 2, having comfort food or food that is pretty convenient is really handy, because you don't have to get up and cook or prep any ingredients. If you can, buy prepped meals all ready to go or soups. I have a recipe on how I make congee, and it is my favorite meal to eat when I'm sick. Tip number 3, another obvious one, is stay hydrated. So when I'm sick, I generally have a bottle right on my bedside table and I fill it up as needed. I also make sure to drink honey lemon tea if I have a sore throat, or hydrolyte, and just kind of have those on repeat throughout the week just to keep my fluids up. Tip number 4, if you take any medication, make sure you monitor your symptoms, especially if it's something that can be affected by a virus or an illness. For me, I use an inhaler for my asthma, so I just have to monitor my symptoms. If I start having trouble breathing, I make sure I use the medication that I have. If my symptoms don't improve, or if they get worse, I know that I either need to see a GP or go to the emergency department. Tip number 5, gentle movement and stretching, especially if you are stuck in bed like I was with the flu a few weeks back. So I would recommend not to move as much and just kind of give your body that time to rest and recuperate. And it also just helps if you're feeling a little stir crazy. You just go for a little walk around the house or do some stretches. Tip number 6. I think this should be tip number 1, honestly, and also an unspoken rule. Stay home and don't risk spreading whatever you have to other people. I know that in a casualized workforce it can be really difficult. If you're a casual worker and you don't get sick leave, you lose, anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks worth of pay because you're homesick. Tip number 7. If it's possible, I would also suggest to future plan. So if you're a casual like me, it is really important to be setting aside a little bit of money each week in case you do get sick. So if you're not covered for sick leave, I do suggest to be putting some money away so that you're not caught short if you do get sick. For me, it took months and months of saving before I even had an emergency fund. The peace of mind that I have now, having an emergency fund, is almost indescribable. I do tend to feel really anxious if my finances aren't in order. For me, it's really important to have some money set aside for those times. If I do get sick, I know that I would be able to survive without work, and it really helps to know that I am covered in case something happens. Tip number 8. If you do insist on completing tasks that require brain power, minimize those tasks and just have frequent breaks if it is necessary. And obviously, if you can, I think for people who do have children, it is going to be really difficult to just do nothing. Try to do as minimal as possible to give yourself the best chance at recovering ASAP. So I don't try and push myself to do a complete deep clean or anything like that. I just try and keep on top of small tasks. If you or someone you know is unwell at the moment, I do wish you a speedy recovery, and I hope these tips were helpful. So that's the end of this video. As per usual, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.